welcome back. Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy. And today I have two knives that were sent to me by company. They sent a lot of reviewers knives to check out. They're pretty new. I met these guys at Blade Show 2 years ago, and this year talked to them, just checking out their stuff, seeing what they're all about. And like I said, they reached out to a bunch of us to see if we'd be interested in checking out a few of their knives. And I told them I didn't mind checking out the knives just as long as they knew I was going to, be honest about them, and I wouldn't lie about, how I felt about the knives. And they were totally cool with that. So I told them just to go ahead and send me these two knives, and I'll give my honest feedback on them. And that is Yabo tool. There you go. And this guy right here is the Silvback. This guy right here comes in at $56.95 on Amazon. I think that's where they're being sold at currently. And this guy right here is the Meg. This guy is $55.95. We're gonna put this off to the side real quick, and we'll move this out of the way. This is also one of those crush-proof boxes, pretty durable, and they look, as you can see, they have the stats on here for this guy. It is 8.1 inches overall, blade length of 3.5, blade stock thickness of 0.12, blade steel is VG10 on both of them. HRC is 61 to 60. Or, that's what they state. The handle, 4.5 inches on this guy. Handle thickness is 0.47, so it's pretty slender knife. As you see, the handle material is G10 and stainless. I guess that's why they call it the Silvback right here, because of the silver stainless. This guy right here, I kind of like the design. Let's get it opened up real quick. It has this, just a traditional blade shape with a flat grind on here. And no markings on the blade whatsoever, so it's completely sterile. And the blade steel is on the spine. I do like the way they did that. They do have the top of the spine beveled, as you can see, so the spine is not sharp whatsoever. You do have a decently precise point for piercing right there. They did give you a small sharpening notch right here. Let's see if it's hard to show. As you can see, so you don't have any flaring as of right now, but I don't know, maybe it might change after you sharpen the knife, because it is going to get thicker back there toward the back. It said VG10 blade steel. This guy is a little weighty because of this all stainless steel right here. You have this full stainless steel back spacer, so your balance point in this guy is way back here. I'm not a huge fan of that, because it makes the, if you're not holding it tight, it makes the knife want to come back. It just feels a little awkward in hand. But I will say, I cut a bunch of stuff up with this guy, and it did rather well with the cutting on this one. Still fairly sharp. VG10, if it is at 60 to 61, is not that bad of a steel. Very corrosion resistant, and I think it's a fair price tag at $55. Cheaper than what Spyderco would charge for it. And main reason why this thing cuts so well is because, the blade stock is not super thick. I mean, it's not thin, but it's not super thick. And this thing's ground down to, where I wrote it down, to 15.5 thousandths behind the edge right here at 17 degrees per side. So it was nice and impressive to cut up stuff. In the ergonomic department, it's okay. I think it would be a lot better if that flipper tab wasn't sitting back like that, because whenever I'm coming up on the knife, choking up as much as I can, that that corner right there was digging into my hand, so I kind of had to hold the knife back a little bit off of it, which was kind of awkward in itself, but it did perform really nicely, I will say. It did hold a good edge. Like I said, it still feels pretty sharp. You know, got a little bit of bite left to it. Your handle scales, I think it looks nice, but I'm not a fan. I would have much rather this all be G10. That way it would have shed a lot of the weight, and then, you know, maybe put some post instead of this backspacer, or if you want to put the backspacer, just put a G10 backspacer, because that is adding a lot of weight to this guy. Let's just get in so you can get an idea. 4.41 ounces. Not terrible because it's slim and, you know, a slender knife, but it just feels a lot heavier in hand because of that balance point being so butt heavy on this guy. And one of the all-stars of both of these knives that I've noticed is the action. Just listen to this. Listen to this recoil. I mean, this guy comes out with authority. Very, very smooth. Let's see, I don't know if I can do this behind the camera, but you can shake it shut. Dead on centered on this guy. You have a stainless liner lock. You can get to that lock bar because they have a cutout right there, and they milled it out to make it easier to disengage that lock bar. Silky, silky smooth. The flipper tab is okay. I don't like when a flipper tab is canted that direction. I would have much rather see it be either straight up, which I'm not really a fan of that, or canted that way. That if it was canted that way, it would be a lot more comfortable to flip, and you wouldn't have it digging into your palm because it would kind of be going this way. It might throw the aesthetics off a little bit, but there's ways to do it and do it right to where it's not uncomfortable. Let's see, you do have a lanyard hole. You do not, let's see, as you can see, you don't have any internal milling at all on the show side. You do have a little milled out section right here, but I think that's for the spring tension of the liner lock. And real quick, let's go to this pocket clip. Not a fan of the pocket clip. As you can see, you don't have really any space underneath there to get stuff rather tight. This thing sticks up a little bit. It's not really a hot spot, but I don't like the look, and it was kind of hard to get it in and out of anything thick, and the finishing on it doesn't look that great as well. You can see. So, like I said, all G10 would have been a lot nicer on this guy. And I'm saying all these, you know, just to try to help this company out, because I like to see, you know, new companies succeed. And I think they're doing a lot of things right. You know, the knife's solid, the knife's super smooth, action is excellent, just kind of heavy, and you're competing with brands like Civivi, you know, Kaiser's, Tangram line. Those are all in the same price areas, and you got to set yourself apart, and I don't know if they're doing enough to set themselves apart as of right now. Now, if you love the aesthetics of this knife, you know, and you want a nice little slicer, you don't mind it being a little butt heavy, then, you know, maybe give it a shot. You know, I don't discriminate when it comes to knives. So I think there's a lot of potential to this guy. Like I said, the stainless is just a kind of, you know, deal breaker for me. It just feels, you know, a little, you know, wonky in hand, but it did perform really, really nicely. I enjoyed using this guy. And there you go. That's the Silvback. Like I said, this guy right here is $56.95. And the next one was the Meg. I went with some crazy colors. I didn't have any white G10 knives, and I went with the Stormtrooper look. I got the white G10. As you can see, it's got some ridge lines in there, like ridge lines going in there, milled out. And the blade sits into the handle nicely. That's their logo right there. Watch the action on this guy. Once again, this guy flies out as well. This guy is really comfortable to use just because it's got that slanted part right there, so you can either pull back on it. I mean, you can do the push button, or you can just put your finger on that low area right there and, oh, that was my fault, and just pull it back. So nice action. on both of these guys. Went with the coated blade, like I said, for that Stormtrooper look. Just I thought it looked cool. And this guy has that coating. It kind of looks like, the old cold steel coating on there. Like a painted, shiny coating. Looks a little cheap, but, I did minimal cutting with this guy, and I'll tell you why in a little while. But this one comes in at $55.95. It's also VG10, as you can see. It's a decent slicer on this one. This one is kind of ground like a Spyderco Paramilitary 2, 20 thousandths behind the edge, and it kind of gets a little bit steeper in this area right here. You have a robust tip if you wanted to maybe pry a little bit. You also have these little tiny blood grooves going on both sides of the knife right there, just for kind of added aesthetics, I guess. You do have a sharpening choil that looks like it's done fully right there. Nice. One thing I will say about white G10 is it gets dirty quick just by the oils in your hands. I did clean it off before this video. It still looks a little dirty, but there you go. You have black coated stainless liners. You have a black wire pocket clip, black hardware. I just think it looks pretty cool. And it looked like it might be, a decently comfortable knife to use. I'm never really a fan when you have, this hump that goes up and the blades sitting below it like that. I just think it looks aesthetically kind of strange. Rather than, let's see, where's one? Rather than like the ZT where it's even, or your ramp goes on top of the blade over the scales, as you can see, like these two. Just something that aesthetically kind of throws me off. This one, is not overly thick. It's probably around 0.5 inches thick. Let's see. Let's check it out. There's your stats. You can pause and read if you would like. Okay. So, like I said, the coating looks a little cheap. So maybe, I don't know. They do have this version in a satin version with like orange G10 and a few other kinds. So if you don't want this combo, you definitely don't have to go with this if you decide to pick this guy up. Like I said, I don't know if I said it before, these are sold on Amazon as of right now. I don't know if they're sold anywhere else, maybe on their website. You have easy access to the lock bar, and they did chamfer the lock bar, so it's comfortable to disengage as well. The centering on this guy, let's see if I can show you that, it looks like it's perfectly centered as well. You don't have the best blade to handle ratio, as you can see, and that's because they added this lanyard area right here, so that really could be taken off right there and it shorten it up a little bit. But for all you lanyard people, there you go. There's the lanyard. And let's get into why I didn't really get much use out of this guy as of now. And that is mainly because when you go to grip this knife, it is a hot mess in the hot spot department, because this pocket clip being at the top of there right there, and how high these two prongs sit. Let me just see if I can show you this. Whenever you're gripping the knife, those two high prongs right there are just jamming into the palm of my hand. So whenever I put pressure in there, it was very, very uncomfortable for me to use. I even tried using it in the left-handed grip. Even though it wasn't as uncomfortable, your fingers still sitting on top of these bars right here. That's why it would have made a lot more sense to put this pocket clip either in the middle or even kind of closer toward this side, because you could kind of wrap around it that way and maybe miss it if it was, on this side. But the middle, is really, I think, would have been the way to go. And try to shorten these, put these down a little bit. Just for instance, look at this wire clip, and this one's kind of high, but let's see if I can show it. Like, it's hard to show it like that, but you can see this back post sits up pretty high. And something I thought was strange, I didn't take this guy apart, but as you can see, those things go into the standoffs. I don't know if this thing's I don't know if this goes all the way into, I don't know how it works, but I just thought that was crazy. As you can see, look, it goes into those two screw heads. Maybe I'll tear it down at a later date and see how that works. Maybe I can take it off. But even even without that, whenever I squeeze down on here, this area right here on the G10, let's see if I can show this. It's hard to show on this white. That line right there is, you hear that? It's not sharp, but it's got some, you know, some hard edges right there, and it was also not that ergonomic for me as well. I think if the pocket clip was fixed somehow and maybe knock that edge down right there, it's got the width so it fills out the hand good. It wouldn't be the most comfortable in the world, but it's not bad. Not bad at all. I think it looks cool as far as the coating. I mean the Stormtrooper look, but this one I think has a good bit more work to make it a good functional knife. That's just my opinion. If you like everything about it and you don't think that clip would be a hot spot to you, then go ahead and pick it up. But you know, if I had to buy one of the two, I would definitely pick up the Silvback. It performed a lot better. I like how slim it is. It is weighty, but like I said, on this one, if they would just do all G10, call it something else, you know, if you had to, I think this would be a lot better, especially G10, and maybe put a deep carry clip on this guy, or just make this clip to where it's a little bit more functional. So you go, there's that one, and I said about this one, coating, it's a little shiny. It looks like it might be like a painted on type coating, like a Teflon coating. I'm not sure. I didn't get to use it enough because of this pretty bad hot spot here on these two back corners, being that this clip is so high up. So there you go. That is the Yabo Tools knife. I appreciate them sending these for me to check out. I may try, I want to try to do a giveaway, and I give away both of these knives. I'll either do a giveaway and give these away to y'all too, or I may give them away to one of the other YouTube reviewers that maybe didn't get the knives to review, that might want to check them out. I don't know, we'll see. Or maybe I'll give one to one of them and do a giveaway for one of y'all. So let me know what y'all think down below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, like I said, leave in the comments section. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up just so I know you enjoyed it. If y'all like seeing stuff like this, new stuff like this. And I hope everybody's having an absolute wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.